A heretic is someone whose opinion is at odds with the generally accepted belief of the time. A heretic is someone whose opinion is at odds with that which is generally accepted at the time. So, in a church of cowards, a courageous man is a heretic. Almost 34 years ago, some friends of mine gave me a cassette tape of Carmen, the same tape they gave to John Scott, Revival in the Land. And as we listened to that tape, and it got to a particular song called I Got the Joy. And I looked at my friends and I said, who is that singing with Carmen? And they said, oh, that's his pastor, Carlton Pearson. I said, well, he sounds better than Carmen does. I became immediately fascinated. And a short time later, I moved to Tulsa specifically to go to his church. A short time after that, I went to work for him. I became his road manager. I became his ghostwriter and wrote his partner letters. So if you gave because of those partner letters, that was me. I eventually became his television producer for almost 30 years. Not long before he made his transition, someone posted on social media, I cannot imagine a world without Carlton Pearson in it. And many of you have that same sentiment, I'm sure. But I'm here to tell you today that that day will never come. There will never be a world without Carlton Pearson in it. He is here every time DE or somebody says, well, he's here every time somebody belches and follows up with, oh, my soul in holiness. And he's here every time somebody makes potato salad and takes their potatoes and they boils them. He has become such an integral part of us, every single one of us, that he will never not be here. And yet, I miss him. I miss the way he makes me feel about myself when I'm with him. Because he made every single person he encountered feel like the most important person on the planet in that moment. Whether you were a close personal friend or whether you had just met him for the first time, shaking his hand after a church service, he made you feel so special. And he didn't make you feel special to make you feel special. He made you feel special because he believed you were special. In well more than 25 years, this is the longest I have ever gone without talking to him. So what I call the reality of finality is starting to set in. I'll miss who was quite simply the greatest man I've ever known. But mostly I'm just incredibly grateful. Grateful that I got to live in the same time as a Bishop Carlton Pearson. I'm grateful that he was my pastor and my bishop. I'm grateful that not only was he my pastor, he was my boss. And you know, a lot of white people, when they work for black people, they will say, I work with him. And I was always very, very clear and proud to say I worked for him. And when other spiritual sons and daughters sought out a new parent who were more popular as his popularity faded, I was proud to tell anyone who would listen that Carlton Pearson was my spiritual father, and that sitting at his table meant more to me than standing on his platform. If you watched the tribute video that we played at the end of his homegoing service, you saw a clip of Juanita Bynum telling Bishop Pearson, we read about Catherine Kuhlman. You talked to her. We read about Oral Roberts and Morris Cirillo and others, but you touched them. They touched you. We've read about Catherine. You sat under her anointing. They touched you, Bishop. That was your gift from God. Well, we didn't just read about Carlton Pearson. We talked to him. We didn't just meet Carlton Pearson. We knew him. He was our friend. We touched him. He touched us. And he was our gift from God. Thank you.